good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us in sports tonight. I'm Bryce Brauneisen, and the CBS19 Sports Desk may look a little more spacious tonight. No, we didn't remodel, but hey, it's AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys. But tonight, it's home to Big 12 Media Days, as it has been all day long. And well, this is one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest one yet. We're talking 4 new members joining the conference. 2 of them, Oklahoma and Texas. This is their last one before they leave to the SEC next year. So you know there's a lot of new storylines and, of course, a little bit of drama. So hey, let's get right into it and give you the full recap of all our Texas teams in attendance today.
Another year here of Big 12 Media Days at Jerry World, AT&T Stadium in Arlington. But from last year's event to today, let's just say a lot has changed. The conference welcomed 4 new teams this offseason: UCF, Houston, BYU, and Cincinnati. But the biggest storyline still remains the same. This will be the final Big 12 Media Days for Texas and Oklahoma, because next year, they'll be members of the SEC. But first, they have their sights set on leaving the conference with a bang. One final charge for a conference championship. And right now, no team is set up better for that than the Texas Longhorns.
When you have that mentality day in and day out, the moment never is going to be too big for you on Saturdays, whatever the game is. And I just think that we're connected. We're connected on a level that is impressive to me, probably a little bit even beyond what I thought they could be at this point. These guys have been driven, they're focused. I've said it before, they feel like they're on a mission to go do this.
Even after an 8-5 finish last year, ranked #1 in the Big 12 preseason poll, for good reason. You got Quinn Ewers, the quarterback in charge, coming back, joined by dynamic weapons at receiver in Xavier Worthy and Jordan Whittington.
You know, there's no perfect formula. You know, if it was all just easy, everybody could do it. And you have to have the ability to persevere. And I give Quinn a lot of credit because he did persevere. There were not all, sunshiny, rosy days for him in his first year as a starting quarterback. But he didn't waver. You know, he stood tall. He answered every question. He stood right in there, and he continued to work. And he kept working at it and kept working at it. And I think we're seeing a different version of Quinn today than we saw a year ago at this time.
Kansas State came in at #2 in that preseason poll as they look to defend their conference championship. But the true king from last year, that's the TCU Horned Frogs, riding a magical season authored by quarterback Max Duggan all the way to the national championship game. But they were blown out by Georgia, and Max Duggan graduated. The expectations are still sky high now in Fort Worth, though. But Coach Sonny Dykes says they have that talent to continue the precedent.
When you're a team that's kind of on the rise, and we had really good players, but it wasn't like we had incredible elite talent. And when you do that, you have to play well. You got to win the turnover battle. You got to limit explosive plays. You got to create them, but you got to be really good at situational football.
But it's best not to hibernate when talking about that team from Waco, the Baylor Bears. Sure, they went 6-7 last year, but now they'll be comfortable as head coach Dave Aranda returns with some experience on both sides of the ball. Namely on offense, their quarterback Blake Shapen and wide receiver Josh Cameron, towards the middle of the pack in the preseason poll, but always a dangerous contender.
The last couple seasons have shown that you can be. You come around the bend, you can be in the back of the pack, and then before the race is over, you won the race. You saw it with Kansas State last year. You saw it with us 2 years ago, and so I just think, we continue down those paths and get to where there's a great connection. See what happens.
And last but not least is the newest Texas team in the mix. That's Big 12 newcomer Houston. The Cougars ranked toward the bottom at #12 of 14 in the poll. But they know there's going to be an adjustment period due to the big move. But the belief is still there that they can come in and contend right away.
It's big. It's what Houston's always wanted. I keep coming back to, let's not celebrate this right now. I mean, I know this past couple weeks there's been some celebrating. I choose to go on vacation because I know how much work is ahead of us. Everybody's excited, but let's quit celebrating it and let's roll our sleeves up collectively and get to work.
Well, just being here for Big 12 Media Days today has me fired up for the season. Just a little over a month away, but it is going to be a good one. We'll see what all these teams do. We'll see if Oklahoma and Texas can make that splash before they leave, or maybe one of the new 4 members can make that run like TCU did last year, going all the way to the national championship game, as you saw there. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a great season ahead. From Arlington, I'm Bryce Brauneisen, CBS19. We'll be back with more right after the break. Stick around.